In our continuing series on stories from Rehabilitation Center, I would like to recall a day a family came to me for the farewell meeting. One of their own had been in rehabilitation for 3 months and now they were leaving the rehabilitation center. So as we met to go over the period of rehabilitation, what had been achieved, and to plan for the next appointments as part of our aftercare program, one of the parents of this patient asked me, "Doctor, is it going to work? I'm worried. While my son was here, I could sleep and relax. But now he's out there. I don't know if he will go back to what he was doing. I am worried." And we had a discussion around that, reassuring the family that you need to have faith and you need to go forward in that faith, because that's the only way you'll achieve a cure. Which then brings me to my discussion today. How do we protect the gains we make in rehabilitation? How do we make our patients resilient so that when they go out there, they walk the new right path and they do not relapse into the old ways? I would like to discuss this by mentioning some of the key things that you, the family out there, need to watch out for and to take care of, so that you protect the progress that your loved one has gained or made while they were in rehabilitation. But before I go into that, have you subscribed to our channel, Dr. BMS? If you haven't, please click that subscribe button and become part of a community. It is free, it doesn't cost you anything. It makes you a member of this community and we can together grow, helping each other to learn about our lives, body, mind, and soul. So then how do we protect the gains that we have made in rehabilitation when we leave the rehabilitation center? The first thing is that when you leave rehabilitation, the expectation from the family, from everyone, is that you will not go back into the old ways of using drugs of addiction. You will not relapse. And so relapse prevention is one of the key pillars of protecting the gains of rehabilitation. In another video on this channel, we've talked about relapse prevention, and we mentioned that the key things to help you prevent relapse is to take care of what we call the PPTs. P for people, the second P for places, and T for things. So the people you are engaging with before you went into rehabilitation have to change. You have to drop some of the old friends and make new friends. Especially those friends who are helping you to engage in addiction, you have to drop them. The places you used to go have to change, and you find new places, new activities, new hobbies, new engagements. The things that you used to engage in also have to change. I've talked about hobbies, engagements that you are using, your leisure activities. So these people, places, things are one of the key tenets of preventing relapse. But apart from preventing relapse using the PPTs, what are the other things that go into safeguarding the gains made in rehabilitation? We need to manage expectations. As I said, the expectation is that there will be no relapse and there will be a complete cure. But the reality is that sometimes this is not met, sometimes this is partially met, and sometimes it is met. There are people who come into rehabilitation and they get a cure. They quit alcohol and drugs forever. There are those who struggle. Sometimes they are sober, then they go back to abusing drugs, and then they get sober again. And there are those who relapse spectacularly after leaving rehabilitation, so that they need a second rehabilitation, perhaps a third. Those are the realities that rehabilitation, like any cure, addiction, like any disease, is such that you can get a cure, you can get a partial cure, and sometimes you get no cure. But that should not make you lose hope. It should not make you lose confidence that this works, because rehabilitation works, and as I've said previously, it is a science. It is not guesswork. It's based on evidence that has been proven to work. So manage your expectations so that as your loved one comes out of rehabilitation, you can grow with them, you can move with them through their ups and downs. If they get a complete cure, you are with them. If they get a partial cure, you are with them, and you are moving towards getting a full cure as you go forward. If they relapse, you also are with them. You don't abandon them, and you support them, because you may need to take them again through the process before they get the final cure. The other thing that I would like to mention about how to protect gains you make during rehabilitation is to manage some of the feelings that overwhelm people coming into rehabilitation. Some of the people living from rehabilitation suffer from feeling of guilt, a feeling of despair, a feeling of shame. I would like to mention these three particularly, because there are others that they experience, but these three are very important to manage so as to safeguard the gains made in rehabilitation. If a patient feels despair, perhaps because they have wasted a lot of time in addiction and they feel they can never catch up. If a patient feels shame, perhaps because the people who they are supposed to be peers, maybe they were classmates or age mates, are advanced in their life, in their career, and they cannot face these persons because they feel they can't match up, they feel ashamed. If they feel guilt because they think they wasted their time, they wasted their resources, and they are worth nothing, those feelings of guilt, of shame, of despair need to be managed actively. Otherwise, they will lead that person right back into addiction. And the family plays a crucial role in managing these feelings by letting the person who is coming out of rehabilitation know that they are loved conditionless, and that the family is ready to move with them step by step as they pick up the pieces of their life, and they will not be judged, and they will not be exposed to ridicule. And in so saying, therefore, you need to practice this every day so that you do not take this person back to the old days unnecessarily, talking about them, referring to them, ridiculing them about it, being over suspicious about this. This will help in creating a new confidence in the patient and a feeling like they can start all over again, and that is what you need to help them truly and fully recover. As you do this, then the new motivation that you create, the new feeling of yes we can, the Obama thing that you create, you need to sustain it, create it and sustain it. How you sustain it is by encouraging this person to pick up their pieces and go forward, supporting them in real time. This may mean you give them help here and there, material help, You may give them moral help. You may give them technical help. You may need to be there physically to assist them in this little thing they are starting to do, so that you create a partnership with a view that they will be strong at one point, and then you can let them go on their own. However you do it, create and sustain that motivation to be with these persons. As you go on sustaining this motivation you have created, it's important that you create alternatives for this person to enjoy their life fully without ever involving drugs of addiction. Because remember, these are persons who, in their previous life, everything revolved around drinking alcohol or using drugs of addiction. When they had a party, they drank. When they passed an exam, they celebrated by drinking. If they failed an exam, they didn't celebrate, they consoled themselves by drinking. So when there was a misfortune, they said, I'm going to console myself, I'm feeling so bad, I need to take something to feel better. When there was good news or success, they were all over the place celebrating again with alcohol. So you need then to create alternative engagements, ways of life, so that they can see that life can be enjoyed, you can celebrate without necessarily using alcohol and drugs. You can feel pain, you can mourn, you can go through a loss, a failure, without resorting to alcohol as a solace. And this requires the family to think around their environment, their social engagements, and to draw in this person so that they can feel part of the new way of doing things devoid of alcohol, which the whole family is engaging in. So, as I summarize, I would say a person living rehabilitation lives with great hopes in themselves and the family that they will be okay. But this will be realized best if we actively, or the family actively, works to protect that new development, that new hope, that recovery that is starting to show in this person as they live rehabilitation. Because if you do not, then the temptations of the world around them, which has not necessarily changed because they have come out of rehabilitation, the temptations may overwhelm this person and make them slide back, relapse back into abusing drugs and alcohol, and rehabilitation fails, when in fact it shouldn't have failed if we went all out to protect the gains made during that period in rehabilitation. See you again in another story from the Rehabilitation Center.